morning. Yols. Yols. Oh my god. Big hand dryer. Biggest in the world. Gonna make some bagels, Montreal style. Morning. Our first batch is almost cooked. Bagels, Montreal style bagels. Yum. There's sesame seed. I don't know, it hasn't yet. I have an iPhone 7, they're supposed to be splash resistant. I don't know if that means they're steam resistant though. You should eat one of these bagels, they're very good. You'll have to come to Vancouver to get one though. Well, let's put our next batch in. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Bagels. Montreal style bagels. Not too late. I just started my shift. It's 5 o'clock here in Vancouver. 5 a.m. Vancouver. I started at 4 o'clock. I love my job. It's a fantastic job. It's not for everybody though. A lot of people have difficulty dealing with the hours. 3 o'clock's a little bit too early for some people. Yes, I love my job. Love it. But it's definitely not for everyone. It requires long hours, early mornings, hard work. You'd stand in front of a hot oven all day, even in 30 weather. So I mean, it's obviously not for everyone, but I love it. It's great. I try to limit myself to one bagel a day. I try not to eat more than one bagel. My favorite cinnamon. My second favorite sesame. Cinnamon with PB&J, my favorite. My favorite sandwich is lox on cream cheese, or lox on a sesame bagel. Lox and cream cheese with sesame. All right. My mid years, I don't like giving too much information on you about myself online here, so. I'm an old man. Say I'm in my late 30s. Some of those seeds on the deck so that the bagels don't touch the deck. The seeds on the deck help insulate the bagels so that they don't burn. So you gotta have seeds on the deck to get a nice even browning. If you're in Vancouver, come on down and get a bagel. We're on Commercial Drive in Kitchener. Commercial Drive in Kitchener. Right across from Cafe du Soleil and Al-Basha. Al-Basha. Right next to Famoso. Neapolitano. Pizzeria. Oh, my nose is itchy. Gonna do some everything bagel. Hey, if there's anybody in the Vancouver area that's looking for a job and would like to learn how to bake, we're hiring. Come on down, drop off your resume, say hello, come eat a bagel, come and meet the team. I'll train you up the best I can. And then you'll be off and running, and baking on your own. Come on down. The jobs are plentiful here in Vancouver. I was training another baker, but she was supposed to show up this morning and she didn't. And I think she worked her first shift, and I don't think she liked it. It was too hot for her, and our table was too tall. She was too short for the table. I felt bad for her. It's too bad. We need people to work here, so I can have some days off. Good job. It's a good job for the right person. Poetry time? Is it time for poetry? Hello, Jimmy Jett, 1958. Welcome to the stream. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary cripple with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and most scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save the waylay with his lies and snare? All travelers who might find the posted there, and ask the road. I guessed what skull-like laugh would break, what crutch could break my epitaph of pastime in the dust of thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescently I deterred as appointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freely or outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discuss if there other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft, been writ so many times among the band of wit, the knights who to dark tower search address their steps, that dish to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple out of his highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch its stray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, and pausing to throw backward a last view. Over the safe road 'twas gone, grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went, I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throve, for flowers as well expect a cedar grove, but chortle and spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind, but none to all. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove, no penury inertness inclimates, in some strange store were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, in nothing skills, I can't help my case, 'tis last judgment's fire must cure this place. Calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous elves, what made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh shores leave, bruised as to balk all hope of greenness. 'Tis a brute must walk, passing their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath was kneaded up with blood. One stiff, blind horse, his every bone a stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and callous neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart. As a man calls for wine before he fights, I asked one draught of earlier happier sights. Ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, the soldier's art. One taste of all time sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold. An arm and mind fixed me to the place, that way he used. Alas, one night's disgrace. Oh, at my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Faugh, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast the parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the glooms. This it frothed by might have been a bath for the fiend's glowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with flakes and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, a suicidal throng. The river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no wind. Which while I courted, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek. At each step of feel a spear I thrust his seat, from Chang's hollows tangled his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I feared, but ugly sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach to the bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who are the strugglers? What war did they wage? Whose savage trampled his us path and bank swords through a flash, toads in a poison tank, a wild horse in a red-hot cage. The fight was so seaman now foul, sir. What penned them there with all the train to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it. Mad Druids set to work, their brains no doubt like galley slaves the Turk pits for his pastime Christians against Jews. And more than that, a furlong on, why there, what bad use was that engine for, that wheel, or brake not wheel, that harrow fit to reel men's bodies out like silk, with all the air of Tophet's tool, on earth left unaware or brought to sharpen its rusty teeth of steel. Then came some stub ground, once a wood, next a marsh it would seem, now mere earth, desperate and done with, so the fool for it finds mirth, makes a thing and mars it, till his mood changes, and off he goes, within a rude bog clay and marsh, sand and stark black dirt. Now blotches rankling colored me and grim. Now patches where some leanness of the soils, broken with moss or substances like oils. Then came a palsied oak, a cleft in him, a distorted mouth that splits its rim, gaping at death and dies while it coils. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance but the evening knot, point my footsteps further at the thought. Great black bird appalling his bosom pen, sailed past or beat his wide wings dragging pen, that brushed my cap perchance the god I sought. For looking up aware I somehow grew, the plain and the face all round the mountains with such names and grace mere heights and deeps now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me, solve at you. How to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time, came a click as when the trap shuts are in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once, this was the place, those two hills to the right crouched like two bulls on horn and fight, while to the left tall Scalp Mountain, Gun's daughter dozing at the very nunce, after a lifetime of training for this sight. What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the tall Scalp Mountain, built of brownstone without a counterpart. Blind as a fool's heart, built of brownstone. The tempest mocking out points of the ship, and thus the unseen shelf he strikes on, only when timbers hurt. I lost my place. Damn it. Where was I? What in the midst lay but the tower itself, the tall Scalp Mount, the round squat turret, blind as a fool's heart, built of brown stone without a counterpart. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay, now stabbing and the creature to death. Not here, when noise was everywhere it told, ceasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers, my peers. How such was strong, and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost one moment now the roll of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, view the last of me. For one more picture in a sheet of flame, I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless, a slughorn to my lips I sat and blew. Child roll into a dark tower came. I messed it up. Hamlin towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city. The river Weser deep and wide washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so, from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats, and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats, and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharp flats. Alas, the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. 'Tis clear, cried they, our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking. To think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furnace it grows ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing. At this the mayor and corporation quaked with a mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one crack with the brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should happen? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wondrous bat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon is paunched for muteness, for a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long, queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek, nor beard on chin, but lips where smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table, "And please, your honor," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm to draw, all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe, to match with his coat of self-same check, and that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straining, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartaria fed the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation, an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes of pipe uttered, you heard as if an army muttered. The muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, bean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, brave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, clocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, wherein all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar, swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary, which was, at first shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and moving away of pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil fast, and the breaking the hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by psaltery's breed called out, "O rats, rejoice! The world is grown from faster and salty. So munch on, crunch on, take your lunch on, breakfast, supper, tea, and lunch on, and just a faulty sugar punch on. All staved like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just me thought it said come for me, I found the Weser rolling over me. You should have heard the handsome people ring the bells to the rocking steeple. Go, cried the mayor, and get long poles, poke up the nest and block up the holes, salt the carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. What suddenly up the face of Pipe perked in the marketplace? The first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders? The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, Moselle, Vin de Gras, Hawk, and half the money would replenish their cellar's biggest butt of Rhenish, and pay this sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat, red and yellow. Besides, quoting Eric the knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So friends, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money to put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you all know, what we spoke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, no trifling, I can't wait inside. I promise to visit by time, Baghdad, and accept the crime the head cook's pot Taj, all he's rich in, for having left in the calip's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver, with you do you think I'll bait the skiver? And folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being mistreated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture piebald? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your piper till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe with stew straight cane, and airy blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gazed in raptured air. There's a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, and like foals in a farmyard when barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls, tripping and skipping ran merrily after. The wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood, as if they're changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, to the children merrily skipping by, could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat, as the piper turned from the high street, where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How he returned from south to west, and to Copperberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed, great was the joy in every breast. He never can cross the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No, one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if you'd blame his sadness, he was used to say, "It's dull in our towns as my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in just at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers before us of fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was brighter than a peacock here, and their dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot was speedily cured. The music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes the rich at an easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, piper and dancers were gone forever. They made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, ever after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, the better in memory to fix, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Piper Street, where anyone playing Piper Tabor was sure for his future to lose his labor. There suffered a hospital near tavern, shop with mirth, discreet and solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern. They wrote the story on column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not omit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison into which they were Japan a long time ago in a mighty band out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with all men, especially pipers. And if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. That was the Pied Piper of Hamelin by Robert Browning. All 303 lines of it. Thanks, man. Come down and get a bagel. They're good. We're in Vancouver. Come say hi in person. Come say hi. Come say hi. Oh, so I missed your comment there. One day God said, this is what I'll do. I'll send down my son, I'll send him down to you. to clear up this humpity-bumpity hullabaloo. His name will be Christ and he'll never wear shoes. His friends will call him the King of the Jews. He didn't come in a plane, he didn't come in a jeep, he didn't come in the coach of a high-jumping Volvic. He rode on the back of a black Saskatoon, the blackiest creature you ever could view. He rode into Jerusalem, home of the grumpy Jews, where false prophets were worshipped, some even in twos. There was Murray, Murr, and Genghis Vauvouz, the one you could worship taking a snooze. Christ spoke from a mound, which is a pile of ground, and people gathered around without making a sound. Thus he spake, sin in socks, socks full of sin, how shall we quiet this Jehovah din? Do unto others as others do unto you. That concludes you, Timothy Foo. And one Pharisee said to another he knew, what shall we do about this uppity Jew? Wash him in wine and make him all clean, and into Sam Biddle's crucifixion machine. Twirl the gwirl and release the glees, and angle the nails as fast as you please. And it said, he said as he bled, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do, because they walk through this world wearing two crappity shoes. Amen. That was the Dr. Seuss Bible by Kids in the Hall. My favorite comedy sketch group of all time. Of all time. Has anybody out there seen the show Wonder Chosen? It was a MTV show in the early 2000s. It was sort of like a kids show for adults. It was so fucking awesome. I love that show. Wonder Chosen. You should check it out. Just be forewarned, you might be offended. If you don't have a sense of humor, that is. Wonder Chosen. Check it out. Check it out. Let's discuss the contradictions. Let's discuss the contradictions. Oh. Bagels, bagels, everyone loves bagels. Bagels, bagels, won't you eat one too? Junkies, funks and junkies. Junkies, junks. Junkies and punks and your parents too. And punks and your parents too. Bagels, bagels, everyone loves bagels. Bagels, bagels, won't you eat them too. Junkies, funks, and punkies in your face. Bom dia. Bom dia. Buenos dias. I don't know. Bom dia. I'm not sure what bom means. I know what dia means. Big day, big. I don't know. Speak Spanish, Portuguese. Bom dia. Oh, is that Portuguese? Bom dia. Bom dia. Bom dia. I work with a Brazilian. He's from Sao Paulo. I like Brazilians. They're good people. I want to visit Brazil. I want to visit Brazil. Habla sua língua. I speak English. Sorry. That's Portuguese, isn't it? Buenos dias. ¿Cómo está? Me gusta comer de todo. How I said? Me gusta comer tacos de pescado. Me gusta comer tacos de pescado. Estoy bueno. ¿Cómo está? Qué legal. I don't know what that means. Que legal. What? I know K means block or something. Oh, I need to take some Spanish lessons or something. I took a course in university, but I didn't practice it. So I know some vocabulary, but not very much. And understand the grammar a little bit. Vampera o Brazil. Vampera o Brazil. the bagels. Salt the bagels. Gotta do that when it's wet or the salt won't stick. Then we get some Zippolos. I mean, well, I think that's all for today. That's all she wrote for today. I've been streaming for about an hour. Hello, welcome to the stream. My coworker's going to start coming in pretty soon. Thanks for watching. Have an excellent morning. I will be back tomorrow. Thank you.